What's going on, guys? This is Damien from the Lookout, and I'm here with how to play Blue Brolys BR, the best Broly deck. Yeah, we finally have Broly BR, any Broly in blue, and that's super exciting. And today we're gonna be breaking him down. But before we begin, two things. We host locals every single Friday at 8 p.m. Central European Time. These are free entry, proxy legal, and that's the best place to try out these newest cards. So if you're interested in that, link to our Discord is in the description below. And of course, a huge shout out to the Coffee Club, our lovely patrons. These are our $2 and up patrons, the best coffee. They keep this crazy content grind going. And guys, thanks out for support. If you wish to join the Coffee Club, link to a patron is in the description below. And I think that's about everything. Roll the video. As with all of our videos, let's start with the breakdown. So I'm gonna give you a brief archetype breakdown. I'll show you some lines of play, interactions, and in this video we will not go over your first 3 turns. Instead, we're gonna have more of a deep dive on how to actually play Broly and how to use his abilities properly. And I'm also gonna show you a deck list, and then we'll just wrap it up with a summary. Let's go. On the front side, our leader is Brolys. Yes, Blue Brolys, finally. And he has a very cool permanent. So this is an EX Evolve deck. You stack cards on top of each other. And the permanent says, when your Blue Brolys BR card would be removed from the battle area by a skill or KO'd, if one or more Blue Brolys BR cards are under that card, return all of them to their owner's hand instead. So it's a form of protection. So only one time, if a card would be removed, let's say KO'd by Solidarity or something, you just remove all of the cards from under it, you put them back into your hand, and your card remains in play. That's a pretty cool passive protection. On attack, you tutor top 7 for any Blue Brolys, and you also add a life to your hand. That's pretty good. And the Awakening is bad. It's 5 lives or less, you draw 2 cards. You don't even restand, it's just draw 2 at 5 lives. On the Awakened side, our leader is SS Broly Full Power Explosion. Same permanent, 15k, you draw an attack, and the only different thing is this one. And keep a mind out, keep an open eye for this one, because we will be talking about it a lot. Activate Battle. Choose one of your Blue Brolys BR cards and return 1 Blue Brolys from under that card to its owner's hand. This card gets plus 5k for the battle. It's a weird form of protection plus power. Yeah, there is some protection in it, but yeah, it's pretty niche sometimes. It's pretty niche, but other than that, it's more of a way to gain power and to trigger your abilities. We'll talk about it a bit further down the line. First off, let's talk about the Z Unison. So Z Unison is Paragus, Cunning Parent. 1 Z energy, 1 energy. Basically auto. When he would be attacked, you choose one of your Blue Brolys and you switch the target of the attack to him. And you negate the skill for the turn. So basically Paragus throws Broly under the bus. That's pretty bad parenting from him. That's not very cunning, Paragus. Plus 1, Activate Battle. Choose up to one of your Blue Brolys with an energy cost of 5 or less, and it gains Servant for the turn. This will be huge. This will be great, because when you EX Evolve, you restand. So it's plus 1, give one of your Brolys plus 10k. That's amazing. The other Activate main is just a tutor effect, which is always good to have. The biggest thing about this Unison is that we don't have 1 costs, we have 3 costs, and they enter the play for free if we have the Unison out. So that's why we have to run 4 copies of the Z Unison. When it comes to Brolys, oh man, so here is our big chain of Brolys. Yeah, we have 6 of them. 7 with the tournament promo, which hasn't been revealed, so we're not going to be talking about it here, but it's basically a dual attacker. So Brolys are played with EX Evolve skill, aka you pay the cost and you play a Broly on top of a Broly. And all of them have very weird effects. Let's go over each Broly. We start with the free cost. This is effectively your one cost, but it costs 3. Okay, Deflect, that's all you need. Deflect is amazing. Unique, keep that in mind. Activate main. If your leader is Blue Broly, this one, and you have the Paragus Z Unison in play, or just a blue card with Paragus in its name, you play Broly for free. That's it. The second ability only works if you give him Servant, which you will never do. It's just a free play, free cost, because all of your other Brolys, I mean the 5 costs, evolve on top of the free cost. Okay, so we have the 5 cost. This is my favorite one. EX Evolve for 1 energy, you restand him when you evolve, and then you also bottom deck something, cost 5 or less. Okay, the big deal is the second auto. So, when a card under this card is returned to the owner's hand, choose up to 1 blue Broly BR card, any blue Broly BR, and it gets plus 5k for the turn. So when you use your leader's effect during your turn, keep this in mind, you can do that, your leader becomes a 25k attacker. Yeah. Your leader becomes a 25k attacker. That's pretty cool. Yeah, this Broly is amazing. We have the other 5 cost here, Broly Restrained. I don't like this one very much. I think the other one is better, but it's still a neat one. EX Evolve for 1 energy. This time you draw and restand. That's cool. He replaces himself automatically. Auto once per turn, when you remove a card from under him, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards or Unisons, ignoring barrier, and it can't attack or be used in a combo until the end of your opponent's turn. That's a very strong ability. If you use it on your turn, you basically stun a card in active mode, and actually doesn't even need to be in active mode. If you're afraid of something on the field, you can just stun it, and it can't attack. If it's in active mode, you stun it, and it can be comboed. That's pretty neat. Now we have the only 6 cost in the set. There is a promo which basically restands itself when you remove something, but let's focus on this one for now. Blocker 25k. EX Evolve for 1 energy, you switch him to active mode, and then you choose up to 1 of your Broly BR battle cards, and you place 1 blue Broly BR from your hand under the chosen card. Okay, sure. Why? Here is why. Auto once per turn, when a card under this card is returned to your hand, you draw 1. So the first auto looks weird, but it makes a lot of sense. You can use him to refill cards under the 6 cost if you got rid of a card under the 5 cost with your leader's effect. So technically, if you play one of the 5 costs and you want a buff from it, you can remove it with the activate battle skill, and then when you play the 6 cost, you can just stack another card under him, and then use activate battle to remove it to draw a card, and then on your opponent's turn, if this card gets removed, you still have 1 under the stack to return to hand and to draw a card again. It's pretty cool. Arguably the worst one out of the bunch. I mean, it's weird to say that the worst one is a 35k dual attacker, but this one is not really that good, I think. When he's played, you switch into active mode. That's it, he's dual attack 35k, and then once per turn, when you put a card from under him back to your hand, at the end of your turn, only your turn, switch one of your blue energy to active mode, choose one of your opponent's battle cards and bottom deck it. So he's the only one which naturally wants you to use the leader's effect on your turn to get the payoff, but if you do it on your opponent's turn, you don't really get anything, and he comes out way too late. You need to have 4 or more energy for him to come out. He's just kinda bad. You still run free copies. You still run 3 copies because you have to, because if you don't see your boss monster, this is the last best option, but the card is just kinda meh. It's just a big dumb beater. Last but not the least, we have our boss monster, which is phenomenal. It is generic blue boss monster, everyone. 35k EX Evolve, limit 1 for 1 energy, on top of a Broly cost 8 or less, so literally any Broly, literally any cost 8 or less Broly in the deck, it can evolve on top of itself. That's the trick, because he has activate main for 2 energies, you play him from your hand, and then you can also, if you have another copy, EX Evolve on top of this one. That's amazing. Basically for free, you remove a battle card. When you play him, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards and you just bottom deck it. No other cost. 1 energy, you remove something. Additionally, if your opponent has 3 or more energy, switch this card to active mode and it gains double strike for the turn. So it's a 35k dual attacker technically. It's technically a dual attacker because first you play him, you swing 35, and then after that you use activate main, you remove something, you restand, and then you swing 35 double. So the card is phenomenal. Alright, it's time to dive into the big complicated, right? It's time for the deep dive. So, it's time to teach you how to properly use these abilities to their full extent. We're looking at Brolys Activate Battle, and we're looking at these autos which trigger when you remove things. Broly is a pilot skill heavy deck. Nobody can screw you over as much as you can do it to yourself by mis-sequencing your play. The key lies in being able to remember that you can use the leader's ability as many times as you want during your turn. You regulate when your abilities trigger. Alright, let's jump into the deep dive. Let's start with the 3 key components: your activate battle skill, cards under the top Broly, and the top Broly with a payoff. Okay, so first off, we always open up with this following setup. Do this as many times as possible. You need Paragus to free play the free cost. You need the 5 cost, the one which gives plus 5k, optimally that one. And you need to remember that you can use Activate Battle Magic to make things happen. Okay, here is the best opening play that you can do. You have Paragus out, and you have the free drop. You pay 1, you play the 5 cost on top of it. You use Paragus's plus 1 to give the 5 cost Servant. Now he's a 30k beater. Now it's time to attack. You attack with Broly, and you draw 1. Then you use Activate Battle to bounce the free cost to hand. This will trigger the 5 costs limit 1 ability, which will give your leader an additional plus 5. So your leader now gets plus 10 in total, 5 from bouncing the card and 5 from the 5 drop, making your leader a 25k attacker. The attack resolves, and then you swing with a 5 cost, which is 30k now, because you gave it Servant with Paragus. The attack resolves, and then you go to your next play. Next thing that we do is we continue with the 6 cost plus draw plus setup play. We need Paragus, we need a 5 cost, a 6 cost, and we need some Activate Battle Magic. Continuing from where we left off, our 5 cost is in rest mode and he has 0 cards under it. We pay 1, play the 6 cost on top of him, we restand. Okay, now the auto triggers from the 6 cost, allowing us to put 1 card, 1 blue Broly from our hand under 1 Broly on the field, and we put it under the 6 cost. Now 6 cost has 2 Brolys under him. It's a big stack of 3 Brolys. We attack, opponent says no counters, we use our leader's Activate Battle. It doesn't matter that it's only our leader who gets the buff. We use it to remove the free cost and bounce it back to hand again. Our 6 costs auto triggers, drawing us a card, and we still have the 5 cost under it, so if we remove it during our opponent's turn, the auto will trigger again, and we'll get to draw a card. Here's a bit of a more in-depth explanation. So from this point, we have two choices. First, if you have no other plays, you leave the 5 cost under the 6 cost to draw on your opponent's turn. It basically guarantees that you will draw something. Or if you have extra energy and no other 5 cost in hand, you can bounce the 5 cost back to your hand with the Activate Battle skill. So the first time you use Activate Battle, you bounce both of them back to hand, and then you just play the 3 cost for free, pay 1, play the 5 cost again. So you just start replaying your chain. If you have the energy, then you can move to 8 cost. We'll just briefly talk about the 8 cost because this guy is kinda shit. So it's very simple. 35k dual attacker. You always make sure to remove all but 1 card from under him to reset the chain. That's gonna give him protection, and you don't need more than 1 card under him to get the chosen protection. So you just bounce everything else back to hand, and then you can immediately start building if you have the energy. Besides the permanent, there is no upside to removing cards under this Broly during your opponent's turn. So if you have the 6 cost, so here's the deal. If you leave the 5 cost and the 6 under the 6 cost, you play this Broly, you get to remove the 5 cost with your leader's ability to trigger this Broly's auto, and then on your opponent's turn, when he's about to get removed, you get the 6 cost back into hand. However, if you have only the 6 cost in hand, then this is really shit. Because in that case, if you want to use auto, your 8 cost gets removed next turn, because there are no cards under him. So you have to be careful about how you sequence going through 6 to 8. Last thing that I want to mention is just benefiting on your opponent's turn. So you usually benefit most on your turn. The 5k is mostly useless on your opponent's turn. It's solid, but if you're playing against green, red and black, which all have 30k beaters, the plus 5k buff is almost meaningless. It's better to use it during your turn so that you can swing with one big chunky boy. Then for the 6 cost, this is basically one of the better ones, because draw 1 is best benefiting when is the best benefit that you're getting both on your turn and on your opponent's turn. The 5 cost is useless as he's too easy to play around. He's just useless. He's only good if your opponent has a threat which you don't want to swing, if you're certain that you can't win, but his ability is just really kinda useless. He's super easy to play around. If I'm your opponent and I see this, I'm swinging my battle cards first. So if you want to stun them, okay, good job. So the 5 cost is bad. The 6 cost is the best one by far. Okay guys, here is the deck list. Link is in the description below, and this deck, it just builds itself. It just builds itself. So basically we are playing 4 of Broly, 4 of Beats. Beats is just a way to get the free cost back. He's just an extra free cost. We are running 4 copies of the first 5 cost and the 6 cost. We're running only 3 of the Restrained because this one is nyeh. And we're running 3 copies of the Boss Monster because he's also nyeh. You can also run 2 copies if you want. I think that you can genuinely just run 2. We run 4 copies of the Big Boss Monster because it's absolutely phenomenal. 1 Frieza to help us reset the chain and just go into the big 8 cost. This is a cool tech. Son Goku the Rescuer. When a battle card is returned to a player's hand by skill, if it isn't in your if this card isn't in your battle area, you play him from hand. So you bounce 1 card back and you play him from hand. That's cool. 2 copies of Boo. Boo is amazing, especially in the blue matchup. He's hard to remove. 2 copies of Oob solely because these decks charge a lot of energy and you want to be offensive. You don't want... I'm also on the border with Boo, but I think Oob is better. You don't want to be too defensive with this one. You just want to smash your opponent. 4 Vegetas. You can play Goku's instead. But I don't feel like you're charging too much Z energy. so maybe Vegetas are better here. 4 copies of Trunks, Heroic Prospect because it's the best floodgate the blue has at the moment, unfortunately. 4 copies of Pill of Shumai because you need it. Gohan as the SCR, just pay 2, deal 1 damage, win the game. And 4 copies of D-Magic. And for the Z deck, 4 copies of Paragus, you must run 4, you can't run any less. 1 Chile Lemo because, yeah, sure. And then the rest is just, you know, the standard stuff. So here it is. Link is in the description below. Before we end the video, let's quickly jump into the summary. Broly looks like a return to form. This is the most similar deck to BT11 Swap Broly. So they're super close. It's almost the same. You are still technically swapping because you're putting cards back into your hand. There is pilot skill involved in knowing when to bounce cards back and how many cards to bounce back. So there is gonna be some pilot skill here. Red will be difficult matchup because how easily it can remove your 5 drops, but it's still a doable matchup. It's still doable, but it's gonna be a bit difficult. Overall, the deck is really fun and I recommend trying it out. It's really fun. It's probably my favorite one. It's probably my favorite one so far. That's it for the video. Let me know in the comments below. Will you try out this deck? Have you already tried it out? Are you planning on playing it? On the Lookout Locals? Let me know in the comments below. I read all of your comments. I try to respond to everything. I love our little community. And while you're here, share the video around. Hit those like and subscribe buttons. Help us get to 6k subs when I'm gonna give away a booster box. This has been Damien from the Lookout and I'll see all of you in the next video.